Had a class, Humanities 2, Shasta College. How's it going? How was your weekend? Spring like day, no sign of moisture in the air. We're in for a nice, long, warm summer. Today, hope your essays are going good. I started grading the your first essay. I'm going to sign another one today. Essay 3 will be covering two Dutch painters. You choose which one. It'll be on assignments later on tonight. It won't be due for a week. It will be due in a week. You have plenty of time to watch the documentary about one of the painters, both painters, hopefully, and to do a little research and to come up for some great analytical critiques on why they matter. And once again, I'm not looking for a Wikipedia bio about where they're born, why but I'm looking or when they died, how many times they were married. That's important to their work. Yes, it is. But what's important is the work itself. Analyze some of their paintings, look at them deeply, try to figure out why they still matter 500 years, 400 years after their death. That's the key to this whole course. The humanities aspect of it is, besides this is our collective story, our humanities, is these artists are holding up a mirror to the culture that they're living in. Yes, this is the Netherlands, which encompasses Amsterdam and Holland, Rotterdam. 450 years ago, but besides the clothing and no self-ordered towers, not much has changed with humanity. We're all still ridiculously vain and hopelessly attached to our material goods and fickle when it comes to our beliefs. And these great artists captured that. Long before the camera was invented, there was no snapping a shot with an iPhone. This is old school. Anyway, I want to start with a little personal story. I went to Paris. I suggest you all go to Paris once in your life. Just walk the streets. Let the history soak into you. I went to the Louvre, the famous Louvre Museum. I was there off season, so there was no line, folks. I walked in without a wait. I thought they were closed actually, and I was shocked. I walked in without a wait because I heard some people wait 3 to 6 hours to get in. That's because they go during peak season. Always travel off season, folks, which is usually fall and winter. Bring a coat. Um, so I go to the Louvre, the famous Louvre. It's got so many famous paintings. You'd have to Google it to see the amount of famous paintings they have. Um, and one of the most famous paintings in the entire world, the Mona Lisa, is there. Everybody knows it's there by Da Vinci, and so it's on the third floor or something. Well, I'm getting there, and all I'm seeing is people rushing by me, tourists. I'm a tourist too, and I'm thinking, where are they going? What's the hurry to get there? Well, I'm meandering around like I usually do, having a cup of coffee and just looking at these amazing works close up. And finally, sauntered down there to where everybody else. This is what you got to know about me. I avoid everybody else if I can because I don't trust crowds. I don't like crowd behavior. Everybody's doing the same thing. I go the other way for what that's worth. Well, I go around the corner and they're all there to look at the Mona Lisa. And there were maybe 300 people crowded in this little tiny area. The Mona Lisa was down at the end of the room. There were other paintings in there. Nobody was paying attention to them. And they have it roped off. You can't get next to it. You get pretty close, and it's in behind a glass protection because somebody out there will try to destroy it or steal it or throw something on it because people are like that, folks. And it's happened a lot of times. And so it's behind that. And I was shocked when I got up there to see it, how small it was. And it was fine. It looks just like you think it would look. And everybody has got their iPhones out taking photos of it, not even looking at it. They're looking at it through their iPhone. Just like when you go to a concert now, nobody's looking at the stage. They're just filming with their iPhone, and yet the performer's right there. You just paid your $200 for nothing to watch them on your iPhone. Anyway, that's how we roll in this new information age. And so people are taking the photo and then they just walk away. And I would watch them walk. This is what I do, folks. I observe. Human behavior is something to observe. It's always, I'm always amazed of the mentality of crowds. And nobody was really paying attention to the other paintings. They seemed to just want to go there, and now they're leaving. So wherever they came from, other parts of Europe, United States, Asia, wherever they came from, they walked into this famous place, spent a few minutes, and they took a photo of something they could get a photo of anywhere in a gift shop, and they walked away. That was enough for them. What a great experience. I'm sarcastic, of course. So I left the room as usual, disappointed by my fellow man. And down the hallway, before you get to this room, there's a hallway, literally hundreds of paintings on the wall. And I was kind of looking at the paintings, and I see another painting that looked similar to the style of the Mona Lisa. It was another solo portrait of a woman, kind of a sad faced woman. And guess what, folks? It was by Leonardo da Vinci, the same painter, and everybody was just walking right by it. And in my humble opinion, which is not humble at all, uh, I thought it was better than the Mona Lisa. I go, this is the one. Now she has a little bit of a smile on her face, so it's not as sad and mysterious as the Mona Lisa, that's for sure. But that's the famous one. This isn't the famous one, and people are just walking right by it. Da Vinci didn't paint that many paintings in his lifetime. He was an inventor, foremost an inventor. He actually invented, I'd have to Google it, all the stuff that he's credited for, but he invented at one time the helicopter. This is two, 250 years before anybody flew. He invented this and he drew it. And it looks like a rough version of the modern day helicopter. He was a scientist and an inventor and a seeker, and yes, he did some paintings also. That's mostly what he's known for. Anyway, that's my personal story. Oh, here's some advice. Pandemic is winding down. Get your passport renewed and go to a European city, South American city, an Asian city. Go to a museum and sit there and look at the beautiful work on the wall. In order to experience the true brilliance of art and painters and sculptures is actually be in the presence of the piece itself. You can't get it off YouTube. You can't get it off a photo book, a postcard. Go to Santa Fe, New Mexico, to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. You don't need a passport for that in New Mexico. It's in the United States, folks. And go to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum and see some of her famous paintings on the wall there. Yes, you're going to pay a fee. You think you know Georgia O'Keeffe because you've seen her cute flowers and her cute desert landscapes and calendars and postcards. You don't know it until you see it in person. Same thing with all these famous painters. I've been in Europe several times, and I go to museums all the time. Um, I I've seen some, Picasso's, Rembrandt's. Yes, I was in Holland to see the Rembrandt's, Van Gogh's, and when you see them in person, it's a game changer. It's not the same as seeing them in a photo. The power is overwhelming. Go to the Modern Art Museum in New York, see a Jackson Pollock. Maybe you've heard of him. You're going to be right talking about him. When I get to modern painters, we're going to be talking about Pollock and others. Not this time, not yet. And you see his drip paintings, a real one that takes up an entire wall. You can see where the genius is. So please do that. Be safe out there. Today, I am, besides signing the third essay, and I'll sign that later on today, look forward in assignments. I want to talk a little bit about two Dutch painters, Rembrandt and Vermeer. Vermeer is a mystery. There's not a lot of information on him. He didn't paint very many paintings in his lifetime, just a little over 30, but he was a master of light. Watch the documentary I'm going to sign. I'll put it in modules later on. I got to go find it. It's on YouTube somewhere. So be looking for that. Do watch it. And I want the analysis to be in your words and your thoughts, not just copied and pasted off a Wikipedia site, please. What's the point of that? You're not learning anything. I'm not learning anything. And I could tell. I could tell. Don't try to slip it by the old professor. He's seen thousands of these papers. Anyway, and I know you wouldn't do that because I trust you all, to be honest. During this time in history, this is the new Renaissance is starting. It's strong. It's drifting out all over Europe, Italy, Germany, France, and the Netherlands, for some reason, produced a lot of wonderful artists. Vincent Van Gogh is another one. We're not going to be talking about him yet because I talk about more modern painters later. Today, I'm talking about two of the older ones that changed everything in our culture through their paintings. Can you imagine? This is long before movie cameras or iPhones or however you take your films on TikTok. Movie cameras, that's funny. You guys don't use movie cameras. This was our lens to the world, our lens to our humanity through these great painters. What they saw was the life around them. Are they editorializing? Hell yes, they are. They're interpreting what they see. They're putting their ideas onto it. It's not just a cold snapshot of an object or a landscape or a person. You cannot take the personal out of any real painter's perspective. It's their take on what's going on. If they're gregarious person and they're out and about, it's going to show. If they're a quiet, contemplative person, it's going to show. It's their version of the world that they see. Now, there's a lot of us that might think the same way, and so we relate to it. Some people don't. They say, oh, it's depressing, or it's not my cup of tea. That's because you don't see the world that way. They did. A lot of people don't like Andy Warhol because they don't understand the world he was trying to show. You either get it or you don't. If you don't get it, you make fun of it. That's what people do when they don't understand something. They mock it, whether it's literature, music. How many people mocked rock and roll or hip hop? They still do, folks, because they don't get it. So you always s- slam something you don't understand. Anyway, so get educated, folks, on everything. Everything we're dealing with in this class, become an expert on it so that you have an expert opinion on these Dutch painters so you know why you like them or don't like them. But at least you have a reason because you've educated yourself on these great artists. And I say great because that's giving it away, but they are famous worldwide. Their paintings sell for, some of them are priceless, actually. There's no price you can put on them. Uh, in their day, Rembrandt did really well. He was a wealthy man, I've been in Rembrandt's house actually in Amsterdam. Um, I was also in Anne Frank's house. Just thought I'd tell you, if you don't know who Anne Frank is, look her up. Um, he was very well known in his time because he's well paid for his paintings. He mostly did portraitures of people who were wealthy and privileged, royalty. That was his customers. He wanted to paint other things, and there was a time in his life he decided he didn't any longer want to paint those privileged people for their money. And so he started painting what he wanted, and they cut him off. They didn't like it. And he ended up burning his paintings, folks, out of disgust and ill regard towards his patrons. But in his time, he was very well known, never traveled much. This is the days before, long before easy traveling. There was no railroads or airplanes. So traveling anywhere was a major endeavor. And so most of these great artists stayed very close to home. So they're showing the world. Now, how would they know the world? Well, because Rotterdam was a port city. And so boats, ships coming from the New World, from Europe, from Asia, are coming in there. And they're bringing in stories. They're bringing in goods and services. And they're bringing in people that looked like the other. And these artists they were affected by all that. Plus, during this time, people had a little bit of spending money and life was pretty good. Medicine was still pretty bad, but that they didn't know any different. That's how it was. Vermeer is a mystery because we don't know that much about him. Sometimes he'd take a painting. It'd take 3 years to paint a painting, finish it. He had a way with light, and the way he used light in the almost photorealism of his paintings. He had help. I think I mentioned this in another brief lecture. He had help with a device that a camera obscura, which could project with a candle. There's no electricity, folks, up on the wall, and he would trace around it. That's why so much of it looks so real. And he was very detailed. And his depictions were usually just everyday depictions, mostly women in the kitchen cooking or longingly looking out towards the sunlight. And you can sense the place and time, you can sense the history, and you can sense that their composure, you can sense their melancholy, that maybe they wish they were somewhere else in a different life, in a different world. There's a longing to his paintings, obviously coming from him. So, Write your analysis, essay 3, and why they mattered. Make sure it's 3 pages, 3 to 5 pages, no longer than 5, but no shorter than 3. If it's shorter than 3, you lose points. If you use long block quotes that aren't your words, you'll lose points. Use MLA, double space, put your name on the papers, and make sure you put a page number. You don't lose points if you don't, but it helps me read it. Instead of counting the pages, I can see that you did 3 pages. You're helping me, and if you're getting all the information from the documentary, put that in the works cited, and if you're researching, put that in the research. So I know that you've gone into this topic. You're trying to learn something about these artists, and so you're doing some research, and I need to know where you're getting it. So make sure you put that in the works cited too. Another thing, this is not a review of their work. I don't have to tell me if you hate it or you like it or you don't like it, or it's not what you're doing. I don't expect everybody to like everything. There's a lot of art I don't like, but I see the worth in it anyway. Music, movies, and this stuff had worth. Okay, look for it in assignments and announcements and in Canvas on modules. I'll see you next time.